Who are you really? Not your name, not your job, not even the thoughts running through your mind right now. If I asked you to describe yourself, you might talk about your personality, your passions, your memories, the experiences that shaped you. But the deepest part of you, the real you. But let's go deeper. Imagine waking up one day with no memories of who you are, no sense of the past, no knowledge of the life you've lived. Would you still be you? And if so, then who is that you? Take a second. Let that question sit, because how you answer it changes everything. Science tells us that everything we are, our thoughts, emotions, and decisions, comes from the brain. Neurons firing, shaping how we experience the world. But here's a challenge to that idea. If we copied everything about you, your memories, your personality, even your sense of humor, into a computer, would that copy actually be you? Would it have your soul? Let's take it a step further. Imagine running into an old friend, someone who knew you well 10, maybe 15 years ago. But you've changed, you've grown. The things that once mattered to you don't anymore. And yet, even after all that change, aren't you still you? Jewish wisdom has taught for thousands of years that we are more than just biology, that beyond neurons, beyond brain chemistry, beyond everything science can measure, there is something eternal inside us, something that cannot be copied, transferred, or erased. The neshama, the soul. But is that just an idea or something real? Does the brain create the illusion of a soul? Or is it simply receiving something greater? And if the soul is real, what does that mean for how we live? That's what we're going to explore today. If you're curious about exploring questions like this, about life, consciousness, and the wisdom of Jewish thought, consider subscribing to the Tree of Mind. There's so much more to uncover. Before we start, take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a moment. Think about the last time you felt truly present, not distracted, not rushing, just fully aware. Maybe it was looking at a sunset, hearing a child laugh, or standing in complete silence. That feeling, that awareness, where does it come from? Is it just neurons firing? Or is it something deeper? Science has made incredible progress in understanding the brain. We can scan it, map its functions, and even predict behaviors based on neural activity. We know which areas light up when we feel love, fear, or joy. And yet, for all this knowledge, science still can't answer one fundamental question. Why do we experience consciousness? Think of a time when you felt a surge of love, so powerful it made you stop in your tracks. Or a time when music hit you so deeply that you had to close your eyes and just feel. Why does that happen? Why does something as simple as a melody or a touch stir something so profound inside us? Could it be that we're tapping into something beyond just a physical brain? This is what neuroscientists call the hard problem of consciousness. We understand how neurons fire. We understand how they communicate. But we don't understand why you feel like you. Think about it. If the brain is just electrical signals and chemical reactions, why does pain feel painful? Why does music move us? Why do we experience beauty, longing, or love in a way that is deeply personal? A computer can recognize a face, but it doesn't see. It can store memories, but it doesn't remember. And here's something even stranger. If a scientist were to look at your brain, they wouldn't find you inside. They'd find neurons, synapses, patterns of activity. But your thoughts, your emotions, your experiences, they exist in a way that science can't measure. Now imagine this. Let's say two people listen to the same song. One feels nothing. The other breaks down in tears. The brain processes the same sound waves, the same notes, the same rhythm. But the experience? Completely different. Why? Where does that deeply personal reaction come from? It's moments like this that remind us we are not just our brains. And this is where Jewish wisdom enters the conversation. For thousands of years, Judaism has taught that the mind is not the soul. The brain is a vessel, a tool, a receiver, but it's not the source of who we are. That source is something higher, something beyond biology, something we're just beginning to understand. And if that's true, then maybe consciousness isn't an illusion at all. Maybe this explains why we long for connection, why we crave meaning, why we seek something greater, even if we don't know what it is. Because something inside us remembers, something real, something eternal. call it intuition, call it the voice of the soul. Whatever it is, it's there, whispering, calling us back to something we've always known. Maybe it's the fingerprint of the soul. If consciousness is more than just the brain, then what is it? Jewish wisdom has an answer. In Judaism, the soul isn't just one thing. It's a layered experience. According to Kabbalah, we don't have just one soul. We have 5. Each level represents a deeper connection between who we are and something beyond ourselves. Nefesh, the life force. It's what keeps us alive. The part of us that feels hunger, exhaustion, the need to breathe. Every living being has a nefesh, its existence at its most basic level. Have you ever gasped for air after holding your breath too long? That desperate need to breathe, that pull toward life, that's nefesh in action. It's the raw instinct to survive, the force that keeps our hearts beating even when we're unconscious. It's not something we think about. It just is. Ruach, the emotional self. This is the part of us that feels joy, sadness, passion. It's why we love, why we care, why music can move us to tears. It's what makes us human. Think about the last time you hugged someone you love, really hugged them. That warmth, that feeling of connection that doesn't need words. That's Ruach. It's why a song can bring us to tears, why a kind word can lift our spirits, and why love feels so much bigger than biology. Neshama, the intellectual soul, the part of us that seeks meaning. It's what makes us question, reflect, and wonder. Why am I here? What is my purpose? You know that moment, lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, asking yourself, is this all there is? That's Neshama speaking. It's the part of you that isn't satisfied with just existing. It wants to understand, to seek truth, to ask why, instead of just what. Haya, the transcendent self. Have you ever had a moment where you suddenly felt something greater? A feeling of deep peace, a sense of clarity that goes beyond logic. That's Haya. It's the goosebumps when you stand on a mountaintop, looking out at the endless sky. The overwhelming feeling that there's something bigger, something beyond. It's those rare moments when you don't just believe in something greater. You feel it. Yechidá, pure unity with the divine. It's the deepest level, the core of who we are. It's beyond words, beyond thought. It's the spark of the infinite inside us. Imagine losing all sense of I. No worries, no fears, no distractions. Just peace, just oneness. That's Yechidá. Some experience it in deep meditation, others in prayer, others in moments of pure love. It's the part of us that never left its source. It's always connected. Pause for a moment. Have you ever had an experience where you felt something so real, so powerful, that you couldn't explain it? Maybe standing under the stars at night, feeling small but connected to something vast. That's the soul speaking. And here's the fascinating part. Jewish wisdom has taught this for thousands of years, yet modern neuroscience is only beginning to explore the idea that consciousness exists on multiple levels. Some scientists now believe that human awareness doesn't just exist in one state. It shifts between different layers of experience. And they're still trying to understand how. But Judaism has known this all along. So if the soul is real, what does that mean for how we live? Have you ever heard a story that made you question everything you thought you knew about life and death? Thousands of people have reported near-death experiences, NDEs, moments where their hearts stopped, their brains flatlined, yet their consciousness continued. They describe floating above their bodies, seeing doctors working on them, hearing conversations they shouldn't be able to hear. Some even describe entering another reality, a tunnel of light, an overwhelming sense of peace, or meeting loved ones who have passed on. But here's the most baffling part. Many of these details were later verified as real. One case stands out. A man who had been unconscious for over an hour later recalled seeing a shoe on the ledge of the hospital's 3rd floor, a place he could never have physically seen. A nurse, skeptical but curious, checked. The shoe was exactly where he said it was. And this isn't just one isolated case. Dr. Bruce Grayson, a leading researcher on near-death experiences, has documented thousands of cases where people described events that were later confirmed, things that happened outside their hospital rooms or even across the country. Maybe you've heard stories like these, or maybe you've even had an experience yourself, a dream, a moment, a feeling that made you wonder if there's something more. So what does this mean? From a Jewish perspective, this isn't surprising. The Talmud speaks of souls existing beyond the body, moving between worlds. In Kabbalah, death isn't an end, it's a transition. The Zohar, a foundational Kabbalistic text, describes the soul leaving the body and experiencing a higher reality before fully detaching from this world. Some rabbis even compare death to waking up from a dream, moving from one state of awareness to another. So if thousands of people across cultures and religions have experienced the same phenomenon, could they all be imagining it? Or are they getting a glimpse into something real? Most scientists believe that the brain creates consciousness, that our thoughts, emotions, and experiences are just chemical reactions inside the skull. But what if that's not true? What if the brain isn't a generator of consciousness, but a receiver? Think about a radio. If you smash a radio, the music stops. But the signal? It's still there. The radio wasn't creating the music, it was just picking it up. Some scientists and spiritual thinkers believe the brain works the same way. Instead of producing thoughts, emotions, and memories, it simply tunes into them, like an antenna picking up a signal from something greater. And if that's true, then where is that signal coming from? Jewish wisdom has always hinted at this idea. The neshama, the soul, is not bound to the body. It's connected to something beyond it. The Zohar teaches that the body is like a lamp, and the soul is the flame. The lamp doesn't create the light. It simply holds it. So when the body stops working, does the light really go out, or does it just return to its source? If this idea resonates with you, and you want to explore more about the connection between science, spirituality, and Jewish wisdom, consider subscribing to The Tree of Mind. Let's continue this journey together. If consciousness isn't just brain activity, if the soul is real, then what does that mean for how we live? Because if we are more than just our bodies, if there's something eternal within us, then every moment matters, every choice, every action. But have you ever noticed how some moments feel different? Think about the last time you stood in nature, maybe watching a sunrise or staring up at the stars. For a moment, everything feels still. And in that silence, something inside you stirs, a quiet recognition that you're part of something much larger. Where does that feeling come from? Judaism teaches that the soul already knows what the mind struggles to grasp. That's why we long for connection. That's why we seek meaning. That's why we feel joy when we do something kind. Because every time we choose to help, to care, to love, we're acting from the soul. And when we ignore that pull, we feel it too. An emptiness, a disconnect. But here's something to consider. Have you ever done something you knew was wrong, even something small, and felt a weight inside you afterward? That's not just guilt. That's the soul trying to realign itself with something higher. In Judaism, we don't just have a soul, we're responsible for it. We shape it through our choices. Every action strengthens or weakens our connection to something greater. So what if we started paying attention to it? What if we lived each day knowing that the soul is real? How would that change the way we see ourselves, the way we see others? Maybe that's the question we should be asking. So what does all of this mean? The brain is powerful. It shapes our experiences, our thoughts, our emotions. But if consciousness is more than just neurons, if the soul is real, then we are more than just physical beings. We are part of something greater, and that changes everything. It means that the way we live matters. That kindness, wisdom, and love are not just fleeting emotions, but expressions of something deeper. That every time we make a choice, we're not just shaping our actions, we're shaping our souls. Judaism teaches that life is a journey of the soul, that we are here to refine it, elevate it, connect it to something beyond ourselves. The Zohar compares life to a flame, always reaching upward, always drawn to something beyond. If this conversation has sparked something in you, there's so much more to explore. Subscribe to the Tree of Mind, where ancient wisdom meets consciousness. But what does that really mean for us? Maybe it means that our struggles matter, that every time we overcome doubt, fear, or hardship, we're strengthening something eternal inside us. Maybe it means that we're not alone, that what we do in this world has meaning, even beyond what we can see. And if the soul continues beyond this world, then maybe death isn't an end. And if the soul is real, then it means we're here for a reason. Not just to exist, but to learn, to grow, to become something greater than we were yesterday. Maybe that's why some moments feel heavier than others, because they matter, because they shape us in ways we can't always see. Maybe it's a transition. Maybe what we do here shapes what comes next. So the real question isn't whether the soul exists. It's, what will we do with it? So maybe the real question is, what is your soul whispering to you? What is it trying to tell you in the quiet moments when the distractions fade away? And more importantly, are you listening?